Any requests from my last joiner inners? I'm kind of planning on a general once all over just to kind of finish us out in the park. But if you got anything else you want to add into that, feel free. Excellent. Everything? Excellent. We'll start right here and we'll end right here. So I had a request, a disguised request to start lying on our backs. So we're going to start lying on our backs. So go ahead and lie down on your back. I'm going to stay up just so my voice carries a little bit better without me having to be as loud. And once you lie on your back, I'm going to clear a frog real quick. Once you end up lying on your back, find that, I call it mini shavasana. It's not really mini, and it is technically a shavasana, right? But just that place where you can kind of just melt down into the floor for a few moments without much muscular action, right? There's really not a whole lot we have to hold on to right here. Everything that needs to work, your heart, your lungs, those things, they work without you having to control them. So can you release control of your muscular body, your skeletal body, and just let it soften? And I'm not going to talk you through each individual part today, but that is always available to you, right? Every class, and even when you're not in class, that's scanning just to tune into the body. We have our areas where maybe every time we scan that area, it's tight, right? Habitual tension and contraction. And then maybe there's some areas that you have that are a little tense or tight today that you didn't realize, or it's not always that way. Noting those kinds of things, checking into injuries, medical conditions, issues, whatever the heck you want to call them, whatever you have going on. Take a few moments and bring your awareness to the breath in whatever capacity that is for you this morning. Finding a breath that is comforting and balancing for you. And then anything else that you want to check into, maybe where you are energy level wise, emotion wise, if the brain is busy, slow, focused, unfocused, right? Whatever any of that stuff might be. And then you can keep your eyes closed for this first bit, or you can open them up, whatever floats your boat. If your feet are on the ground with the knees bent, let's extend our legs, all of us, so we're all laid out fully. And we often do this with a blanket underneath us, but I still want to attempt it. And hopefully your mat isn't so sticky you can't slide the legs. You're going to go ahead and let the right leg be heavy as you slide the right heel up towards the pubic bone. Don't go too far. I go no higher than my knee for sure, right? No higher than that. And then I push that heel down. So let's just start to say hi to the hips, yeah? And do that a couple of times with just the right side. We're going to do right side first, and then we'll do the left side. And if it doesn't make sense, you know, I'm doing it, but y'all look like you're finding it. Yep. That right thigh as heavy as it can be as you pull that heel back. And then the next time you get there, you're going to go ahead and you're going to let the right leg stay there in that bent position, thigh heavy, moving towards the floor. Left hip can totally lift. We are not controlling anything in our pelvic region right now. And then from there, go ahead and extend that right leg all the way back out to its straight. Yeah. Take a moment and just notice any difference between the right and left side of the body. And then start in with that left leg. Find your own pace, your own rhythm. I'll always encourage you not to go too fast, right? I think that's when we start to lose mindfulness. And as you're sliding in and out, just kind of noticing maybe this side feels like it's more restricted, right? Tighter, whatever words you want to put on it, than the other side. Maybe it feels like it's a little looser. This is more accessible. And no judgment on it, just noticing. Next time you're out to the left, you're going to pause there. Let that left thigh get as heavy as is comfortable in your body. The right hip gets to lift if it wants to. And just pause for a moment. And then extend that left leg all the way out. Now put your left foot on the ground with your knee bent, and it's going to be kind of a similar action, but we're going to add on. So you're going to first pull your right heel towards your pubic bone like we just did, half bound ankle, and then let the left knee fall over towards the right, and the left hip is going to lift quite a bit. Yeah? So it's a weird version of windshield wiper. Let the left knee come up, and the right heel slides forward. Yeah? Makes sense-ish? Pull that right heel back. Baddha Konasana, and then let the left leg fall over to the right. So you're still moving, you're moving on the breath now that we've got it. Yeah. Left knee comes up and the right heel slides forward. And do that, I don't know, about 2 or 3 more times for yourself, just starting to explore that twisting action added into what we're doing in the hips. And then the next time that you end up with both of your knees over to the right, go ahead and bring that left knee a little higher up towards the right armpit. You're going to put the right hand under that leg and start to straighten that left leg any amount on the diagonal. Your left leg and your body make kind of the shape of a V. Yeah. That left hip moves forward to the right front corner of your mat-ish, and you're just saying hi. For me, I feel this very much in my outer hip, my IT. I feel it in my hamstring a little bit today. There's a lot going on down there for me today. Go ahead and bend that knee, put that left foot on the ground. Let's go ahead and extend both legs all the way out and take one breath there before we continue on our journey, and just notice what the body's saying, right? Sensation-wise is what I mean with that. So the right foot goes on the ground, the knee is up to the sky. That's its neutral, we'll call it. Yeah. Now it starts by pulling your left heel up towards the pubic bone. Once it gets there, pause, and the right leg falls over to the left. So move them separately, if that makes sense. Right knee lifts back up, left foot slides back out. Yeah. And that's the pattern right there. The left heel slides up, knee wide, right leg falls over to the left, any amount. The right knee moves up, the left heel pushes out. Now I'm going to take my voice out of it a little bit and let you kind of find your rhythm. Yeah. And just working at a pace that feels really delightful to you this morning. Delightful. Why that word, I'm not sure. And then the next time you end up over there, I'm nowhere near it. I'm still moving into it, right? But the next time that you are, you can add on that other piece where the right knee, will come up a little closer to the left armpit. I like to put my left hand under the knee to support, and then maybe that leg extends and straightens any amount. Let that right hip move forward towards the left front corner. And again, my right leg and my torso are making the shape of a V. Yeah? And I'm breathing. I'm noticing how this side is so much tighter than the other side. That might not be the case for you, but what are you observing? Bend the right knee, put the foot on the ground, and go ahead and extend both legs back out to straight. Pause there and just take a moment and notice. We've mainly been in the lower body. Yeah. Feet on the ground. Walk your feet wider than your hips and lean the knees in. Let's tee the arms out, and let's start with that little hug we started with on Tuesday. You're going to give yourself a hug with your right arm closer to your face than your left. I'm going to stand up in case any of my people on the ground here need to see me. And first, just try to walk your hands, pull your shoulder blades apart with your hands. And I don't mean aggressively, right? But just lengthen them out and inhale in between your shoulder blades. That's where your lungs are, the back of your heart is. Now, some of my friends are going to go for that eagle arm wrap where you wrap your forearms around and you grab the palm. Both variations of this, you can lift the elbows off the chest and up to the sky and just take a moment and take a breath and notice what you notice in the upper body. And let's tee the arms back out and bring them to the earth and pause and take one breath there, doing a whole lot of nothing. And then you're going to bring your arms in again, left arm closer to the face than the right, and literally walk your hands with your hands. Try to pull your shoulder blades just gently apart and pause and take a breath before you go to that next place, please. Some of my friends, full eagle arm wrap. If it's available, take it. Or if you want it, it's not even if it's available. Maybe you don't want to take it today. Elbows lift off the chest and up to the sky a little bit potentially, and then breathing into that side. Usually the left upper trap will feel this a little deeper in the left side. Not always. And release that. Tee the arms out. Pause, leaving the arms right there. Keep your feet where they are, wider than the hips. Take the knees out so they're over or in line with that line. And now just regular old windshield wiper. Knees to the right. Inhale up. Knees to the left. Now we're going to go right into that swing if it makes sense. Inhale up as the knees go to the right. Swing the left knee up towards the armpit and then back to the ground and up. When you go to the left, it would be the right knee swinging towards the left armpit. Yeah? And do that one more time. Just trying to get some mobility in that low back region. Yeah? And then come right back to the center. Walk your feet back in before we come off of our backs. Some of y'all are like, no. Some of you are like, oh, it's about time. Go ahead. Bring that right knee in, interlace behind the right thigh. Push the right heel up to the sky. And let's say hi to the hamstrings before we leave. As the heel pushes up, we'll pull those toes down. Taking a breath from that place. Now go ahead and straighten your left leg out. We're going to go into it this way. I'm changing my mind. We're going to go into, I want to try to make it into twisted triangles. So we're going to visit here on the ground first before we're on 2 feet. Tee your arms out to the side, leaving your right heel where it is. Leg doesn't have to be all the way straight. And now roll onto your left side body, letting the right leg come across. If you want to put the left hand under that thigh again, we just visited this moments ago, but now we have a straight left leg. Yeah. And we're a little bit more in that shape. Maybe turning the head to the right, maybe not. Reaching the right hip towards the left corner of the mat and inhale back up. Put that foot down on the ground and bring the left knee in. Interlace behind the left thigh. Push the left heel up to the sky. And just take a second there and open up the back of that hamstring. We'll need it places we're going later, yeah? Now from there, extend your right leg all the way out and activate that leg. Tee the arms out. Left leg stays in the position it's in straightness-wise, right? But you roll onto the right side body, bringing it across the body. Right hand can totally come under that left leg for support. Maybe turning the head to the left, and I just want to point out you are in the shape of twisted triangle right now. And inhale, come on up to center. Bend the knee, put the foot on the ground. Both feet on the ground, pick up the hips and roll them right back down, up for a second and down just so you get them centered again. Grab the backs of the knees. Take an inhale. You can come up with the buttocks a little bit, and on your exhale, try to roll up. And if you need to come up a different way, you do. So working with our chair pose, boat pose, right? So from there, shoulder blades down the back. Find that long, elongated spine, and maybe those feet lift up. Now, you can lift the shins up, but my one request is don't go to the point where the low back rounds behind you. Keep your low back in its natural curve. For me today, that's about here, yeah? Used to really bug me, and I try to do more because I was a yoga teacher, and I come from gymnastics and all the bull crap, but right here is where it's at. Go ahead and move into that imaginary block between your thighs. Take one more breath. We're going to hit some of the things we did yesterday, if you couldn't tell. Put right shin in front of left. Just hold your knees. Get nice and tall and fold over those legs and say hi to the buttocks. I like to sway a little bit right to left, personally. You don't have to like it, and if you don't like it, sure don't do it. Walk over to the left, reach that right arm away. Try to lengthen out of that right lower back hip kind of area. And then we're going to do something slightly different than we often do. Instead of walking back to center, move your left hand over next to your left hip. Swing the right arm overhead and rotate the ribs open so you're in the side body, right? Our lateral stretch. Let that right buttocks get heavy. Keep it as weighted as the left and lengthen out of that. And then inhale up to center. Feet on the ground, knees bent, right? And again, I'm in my elongated spine, and that's not going to change for a bit. We are going to change it in a second, but don't change it for this part, right? Coming up, finding out where your shins want to live. Push through the ball mounds of the big toes. That's another way for me to give the same direction, the same cue as pushing into the block. It does the same thing muscularly, right? Maybe the arms release, maybe they don't. I'm going to hold on to my thighs today. Now, I'm going to have you try to push out. In order to do that, I want you to pull your belly down into cat, like you're going to roll onto the top rim of the pelvis. Start to straighten the legs out and bring the upper body down. And try not to pop up. Try to come up with control if you can. Ha, 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 ha. You got one more of those. Exhale, try to lay it out, whatever that means to you. Push the bottom out, the big toes, keep those knees in. And inhale, come on up. Left shin in front of right. Lengthen the spine first and then fold it over. Possibly rocking a little bit from right to left. And then walking over to the right, lengthening that left arm forward and away. Taking a breath from there. And then we're going to bring our right hand to the outside of our right hip-ish. We're going to swing that left arm over and come into our lateral stretch, right? I'll show forward just in case that doesn't make sense. And then from there, keep that left buttocks just as heavy as the right as you lengthen out of that, yeah? Inhale all the way up. You can either bring your ankles close and roll over, or you can swing the legs around, whatever works for you. Come on into hands and knees, cat-cow. And go ahead and just start taking your cat-cow. Y'all know this pretty darn good. I'm not adding anything too fancy. The one thing I would say is, you know, sometimes we play with, when we're in low backland, we start everything with the pelvis, the tailbone, and let it ripple through. Sometimes when we're in upper backland, we start from the shoulder blade area, right? So if there's a part that's feeling more restricted in your body, maybe you move that part first and let the rest of the spine ripple from that. If that doesn't make sense, just do cat-cow. Always an exploration of your body, yeah? And then come right on back through center. We're going to step our right foot forward when you get there. That was pretty quick, that direction. Now step it, now. Bring your left hand under your left shoulder, right hand on the right thigh. Inhale, get really long, and then start to turn towards that right knee. And once you get into there, if you want to reach that right arm up into that more classical arm position, it's there for you, but you know you can leave your hand on the hip the whole dang time, yeah? Take another breath. So we're going to get into twist bits and pieces, and they'll get a little bigger and a little bigger. And turning down, stepping the right foot back. I like to go wide. I find that easier on my hip joints. Stepping the left foot forward. And again, I'm going to bring my right hand under my right shoulder, left hand on my left thigh. I'm going to inhale and lengthen my spine, and then turning towards the left. And maybe that left arm extends once I get into it, if that feels right for my body. And I'm just pointing out, yes, the legs are in a different position. We're obviously in a different position of gravity, but we're back in that twist land that we started on our backs, yeah? Bring the hand down and step the left foot back. Downward facing dog, or half downward facing dog, or active child's pose. But do one of the ones where your arms are activated, if that's all right with your body. Pushing your hands forward and down, that would be all three versions. I reach my buttocks further up and back, and I lengthen my spine. Check into necks. If the necks are tense, try to soften them. Imagine my hands on your traps, Kate. Yeah. Neck is still a little, yep. Well, I got two Kates, but both of you could use the same direction. That's awesome. You guys both live in the same trap land. And from there, we're going to step, you can put the knees down to step it forward if you'd like to. Otherwise, inhale the right leg up and step it forward. The right leg's coming forward again. The left knee is coming down. And this time, inhale, go ahead and come all the way up into your low lunge, right? Let's just open up that psoas and get it ready. So we're pulling the frontal hip points up. If you want your hands on your hips, you can reach them up, whatever you're feeling, right? Frontal hip points up, that tailbone moving forward. Tell that left psoas says good morning, right? And then from there, we're going to bring it into, actually, let's bring right hand and right thigh. I'm changing it up as I go. I'm making it up as I go. Lean over to the right a little bit. Feel that left top part of the psoas opening. Now, inhale back to center. You just lengthened this. Please keep the left side body long as you hook your left elbow to the outside of the knee. If you're like, heck no, left hand under left shoulder again, okay? Hands come together in prayer. And from that place, 2 extra requests. Push your palms together to open your chest, your collarbone. And then push your elbow and your knee together. Neither one wins. The knee does not go to center, but that twists your rib cage, yeah? Now, if you're looking for extra juice, you're going to curl your left toes under. You're going to push the left heel back, lifting the knee, moving towards a straight left leg. Optional, absolutely not necessary. Inhale and exhale the hands down. Step back. If you can step to a push-up, the top of a push-up, we're going to hold the push-up for a second. Knees can come down as a variation. Downward dog or child's pose if you're like, no way, Jose. I'm going to go knees down. I got 5 classes to teach today. Shoulder blades down the back, reaching the chest forward. My straight-legged friends push those heels back into an imaginary wall, the very center of the heels, right? Feel that narrowing of the abdomen we worked on Tuesday. And exhale back to your variation of downward facing dog. And breathe. Noticing if this downward dog feels any different. You might not know, and the answer might be no, and that's all okay. Either knees down to step the left foot forward, or inhale the left leg up into the air to float the foot forward between the hands. Bringing the right knee down initially, right? And come on up into your low lunge. Frontal hip points pull up, buttocks flesh reaches down, all those usual suspects. So we say hi to that psoas, yeah? Left hand, left thigh, leaning over to the left, trying to get the little longer in the side, right side body, we'll say, yeah? Coming back to center, keep the length as you try to hook that elbow to the outside of the knee or place the hand under the shoulder. Bring the hands into prayer. First request, push your palms together and try to broaden your collarbone. Second request, push your elbow and your knee together. Neither one moves, but the spine rotates, yeah? And breathing from there, if you want it, curl the right toes under, really slowly push the right heel back, lifting the knee, straightening the right leg. You don't have to take me up on that by any means. Inhale. Exhale, the hands come down. Step back to downward facing dog. And breathe. Notice what your spine is doing. Does your upper back want to push forward to me, right? Or if you're not facing me, device people, you're forward front of the mat, right? So your ribs, your low ribs want to go down to your thighs, right? Checking in and trying to keep it long on all sides of the entire spinal column. Inhale. And on an exhale, we're going to bend our knees, come up onto our tippy toes. We're going to try to step our right foot forward between our hands best we can. And then the left foot's going to follow. And if you need to skid or step up a couple bits, go ahead and take it. Hands on the shins and reach the chest forward, halfway up. Exhale, folding in. Hands on hips, elbows up. Inhale, reach the chest forward. Come on up. And exhale, reach those arms down. Interlace or interlock thumbs or grab a strap, right? Push into the sacrum to try to roll the shoulders back behind you a little bit, the outer shoulders. And then maybe those knuckles start to reach down. And this one, it's always good to be cautious of those ribs on a lot of bodies. We tend to take the bend here, keep that long, and take the bend in the upper back. And that's a lot of Tuesday's work with all those upper back bends we did, yeah? Take one more breath. Now, maybe you bend the knees. You bring that into a forward fold. This one's not about your leg muscles. This one's about building strength in your back body, your posterior body, right? So lift the shoulders up towards the sky. Reach the knuckles behind you. Maybe they lift off the back a little or a lot, whatever that is in your body. But keep that whole posterior side of your torso turned on, contracted, yeah? And soften the neck. Is that available? Can you find that? One more breath here. And then we're going to bring our hands to our low back. We're going to let them come down to the floor, the hands, that is. Hands on the shins, reach the chest forward. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step your right foot back, and then your left foot, you're in the top of a push-up. We're going to come down to our bellies. So come forward on your tippy toes. Bring your knees down if you would like. And exhale through your push-up. Yeah? Inhale, press into the tops of the feet. Come up into low cobra. Pause there for just a moment. Again, can you lengthen that low to mid back, and can you have that come, that stem from the upper back like you're going around a high bar? And exhale down. While we're here, interlace like you just did moments ago, but then switch the thumbs or the index fingers, right? Make it the other interlace. Press into the tops of the feet, the thighs lift. Push the sacrum down to lift the shoulders so my elbows bend and they move together for that. And then I straighten my arms any amount, knuckles reaching back, and hopefully that isolates it more in my upper back, yeah? Take another breath from there. And coming on down, turn the head one direction, arms by the side, palm, taking a breath from there. Forehead to the ground, interlace the original, right? The other one than what you just did. Press the tops of the feet down, thighs lift. Again, bend the elbows a little bit. Push the tailbone down to lift the shoulder heads up. And then maybe those knuckles reach back. Maybe those toes lift on this version. And here we are in locust pose, right? Get as long as you can possibly get. Let the pinky toes get a little heavier on some of my body here. Yep. Yeah. And then go ahead and come on down. Turn your head the other way. Palms up by the side body. Pause for just a moment. Take a breath. Forehead to the ground, hands next to the low floating ribs. I'm going to do the knee down version. You're welcome to do full push-up, back up if you want. Full plank is what we call it in yoga, right? Curl your toes under, push your heels back if you're doing full style. If your knees are down, I curl my toes under and I activate my thighs and my low belly up, even with my knees pushing down. Pull the low belly up, narrow that waist, narrow your ribs, your low ribs, and then push into the hands and try to straighten the arms. And exhale back. Downward facing dog or your variation thereof. Take a breath from there. Inhale, inhale, la. I'm going to try to match the other side. Exhale, bend the knees, come up on the tippy toes, look forward, step your left foot forward without lifting the left foot up in the air. Step your right foot forward. Hands on the shins, reach the chest forward. Exhale and fold in. Arms out or hands on hips, that same spine we've been working, coming all the way up. And exhale, reach those arms out and down. I think that's the first time I've done that one. Lie. I'm lying. Don't do that. Okay, so let's get ready to go into that bigger twist. I think most all y'all have a block. If you don't, find a small child and use their head, right? Have it on standby. You'll have it by your right foot. You don't need it quite yet, but you're going to need it in a moment. Yeah, so then you don't have to go looking for it. I like high because it's easy to grab and I can always lower it. That's it. When you're on uneven ground, sometimes it moves around. So just so you see the shape of things to come, right? You're just watching me. I'm demonstrating. I'm going to step back. It's my shorter stance. We're going to work pyramid first, and we'll talk about pyramid. I can use that block here, right? And just have it in front of me. We'll stretch, we'll lengthen, we'll find the base. The second time around, we'll do both sides. The second time around is when we'll start to work into pyramid like we just did. But now we're going to try to bring it into twisted triangle. And I'll have a whole bunch of directions and things that you can do and places you can live so you can find your modification. I do want to point one thing out, and that is when most of us go into this, we start reaching fingertips to the ceiling, but you see how much I tweak my shoulder? So either keep the hand on the hip and work the shoulder up, or if you extend, just be cautious you're not going to that place where you're bringing the arm into that tweaked internal rotation, right? You would be out further. I work this with my hand on my hip more often than not. Okay, so coming on up to the top of your mat. Bend your knees and hands on hips. Bend your knees and step your left foot about leg's length, your leg, yeah? Reach that left inner heel back so that left groin rotates back so the left hip rotates forward. Hands on the hips, elbows back. It's that same stuff we've been working and building, right? Now we're going to start to fold forward. If you're a hyperextender, bend your right knee just a little bit till we get in, yeah? Now, maybe the hands come down to that block. If you want to keep your hands on your hips or come to the ground, I personally start on my block and then I think about the ground later. Now, re-extend the right leg if you bent the knee. Imagine a Crystal Joy Johnson pulling your right hip back behind you while you reach your chest forward away from that action. And then maybe you do start to fold a little deeper over the legs, right? But always, always just kind of pay attention at what expense. Do you want to get down towards your shins so bad that you're lifting your left heel up, or that you're hyper extending and locking your right knee, right? Maybe your right hip move forward to get you there. So try to keep the alignment as best you can. It's not that it's perfect and this is the only way to go about it. It's just bringing your awareness into your body and the tendencies of the patterns, I call them, right? The tendency or the patterns, the postural patterns we often have. Inhale halfway up. And then go ahead and put your hands on your hips. I'm going to bend my right knee because I tweak my right knee all the time, and come all the way up. I am a hyperextender, especially in my right knee. And step that left foot forward. Right into side two. Bend the knees and step the right foot back. That right heel reaches back, right inner groin back, so my right hip can roll forward, right? My elbows back. I'm finding that long spine without my flaring of my ribs, right? I narrow my waist and I start to fold over until I can get my fingertips on the block. Now from there, push into the block and lengthen the spine. Re-extend the left knee if you bent it a little bit to come in, and work the left hip back like I was gently pulling it. But the opposite thing is reach the chest forward away from that left hip pulling back. And then maybe you do fold a little further over that leg, right? Maybe the block lowers, you get your ground out, whatever that is for you. Don't let that be a goal, right? I got to get my fingers to the ground, man. But if it's available and it's more comfortable, do it. Did your right heel come off the ground? Did you lock out your left knee? Did your left hip move forward towards your left shoulder, right? These are some of the things that we do to try to make that happen so we get closer to our leg. Come halfway up, tone the belly, narrow the waist, hands on hips, elbows up, come all the way up, and step the right foot forward. Here we go towards that twisted triangle. So from there, bend the knees, step the left foot back first. It's the same stance we just did. It's the same base. From here down, hopefully nothing changes. Ha, 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 ha. Right? Now bend those elbows back, find your chest and start to come on down and bring your fingertips to the block. Now, find pyramid legs first. Reach the right hip back and the chest forward and lengthen the spine as much as you can. That left heel, really push it down. It's your rudder here, your stabilizer, I mean. Put your right hand on your hip. You can even use the right hand to push the hip back. Little less intense is the inside of the foot with the block. Yeah. Little more intense would be the pinky side of it. So you get to choose what side you put the block on. Left hand goes on the block. As I push my right hip back, I'm going to try to move my left shoulder over my left wrist. That's the beginning of the twist, and that might be plenty for you. Lengthen the spine forward, the crown of the head, push the left heel down, and then maybe you start to turn the ribs even more from the solar plexus. Maybe that right shoulder lifts up to the sky. Notice I said shoulder. And maybe you do release the hand, but again, don't tweak the shoulder to reach your fingertips to the sky. And breathe. Take another breath wherever you are. It's the biggest thing we're going to do here today, right now. And then go ahead and look down. Bring the block back to the center, the body back to the center. Lengthen the spine. Narrow your waist, hands on hips. Inhale, come on up, up, up. And step your left foot forward. This is one of the bigger twists, I think, in yoga. Bend the knees. Step that right foot back in the asana practice specifically, right? That right hip back, or sorry, not the right hip, the right heel and inner groin. So the right hip moves forward, elbows back, narrow the waist and start to fold over the legs. Don't be in a rush to get to the twist. This is just as important, right? Hands on the fingertips on the block, lengthen the spine, move the left hip back, chest forward like we just did, and really root that outer right heel down. That's going to be your big balancing act, your helper. Left hand comes to the hip. You can even push it back a little. And then from there, move the block either to the big toe side or the pinky toe side of the foot. Lengthen the spine, and then you're going to move that right shoulder over the right wrist while you push that left hip back, right? So again, we did this on the earth on our backs. It was a lot easier there, wasn't it? Now from your solar plexus, lift that left rib cage back behind you, left shoulder up to the sky. Maybe the hand lifts, the arm, extends, but not at the expense of the shoulder, right? Take a breath, 2 breaths here probably. I talked more on the other side. Right heel down, lengthen the chest forward. So I've got an uber long spine the whole time. I'm simply rotating it into a twist. And then turn and look down. Again, bring the block back to the center and lengthen the spine. Narrow the waist. Hands on hips, elbows up. Come on up. And step the right foot forward. Take a hot second. Everybody feeling all right so far? Excellent. So why we are, let me double check my time. Why we're up, I want to go just through a series of externally rotated. So this is all considered neutrally rotated when we have our hips and our thighs pretty much in line with that. We're going to move into externally rotated poses. So step your feet out nice and wide. And we're just going to combine a few. They're poses you already know. And we'll just breeze through them just to get a little extra hip action without all the intensity. Go ahead and turn your left toes in and your right leg out. I'm going to mirror zoom, people. Inhale those arms out wide. And exhale. Put the weight in the right heel as you start to come on in. Turn your legs out, Mr. Mark, to the right. Yep. And from there, a little bit of weight in that right heel. That outer left heel probably needs a little extra, right? That right hip point pulling up. Those are some of the usual suspects. Now bring your left hand to your left thigh, reach your right arm up, and then lengthen out of that side waist into reverse warrior. Maybe turning and looking up. I usually say about elbow. I know some teachers teach hand, but I see a lot of necks get really cranked with that direction, so I don't love it. Don't crank your neck is my point. Inhale, keep the length as you reach forward, side angle, right? So I lengthen the whole time. Pause there before you put your elbow down. Holy crap, that's waist work, right? Bring the elbow down. And now that left arm, either hand on hip or turn the palm forward and reach it all the way over. Think of it being a line from the heel through the fingers, the left heel through the left fingers, yeah? Split in two directions from your waistline. Maybe turning and looking up. That brings balance a little bit deeper into it, yeah? But if that hurts the neck, don't do it. And inhale, reach the left fingertips up to the sky. Start to straighten the left leg. We're going into triangle, Miss Kate. Kate Williamson. And then from there, maybe you bring the body up just a little bit. Move your right hip into the socket, your left ribs back, and then slide down, keeping those two elements, right? That's the one I always talk about between two panes of glass. Maybe turning and looking up if you want to play with that extra additional piece of balance. And how does triangle feel today? Check in. What little refinements do you know without me shouting out 25? Inhale into warrior two, so bend that front knee. We just simply pivot at the pelvis. Our arms are in position technically. And I'm going to give you one chance for the push-up series. Windmill down. I might give you two, we'll see. And step back to downward dog if you don't want it, right? Otherwise, exhale through your push-up. Inhale into low cobra. If you're ready for that upward dog, I'm not going to teach it, but if you know it and you want it, it's yours. And exhale back. Downward facing dog. Pause. Let's meet here for a moment. A moment being about 3 breaths. Everyone's backwards. Inhale. And on your exhale, come up on your tippy toes, bend your knees, look forward, step or jump to the whatever side of your mat your hands are on. Hands on shins, reach the chest forward. Exhale, fold in. And inhale, reach the arms out and up. Come on up. Hands on hips if you prefer, of course. Exhale, arms down. And then you're just going to go ahead and you're going to shoot one foot back so you're facing the same direction widthwise on your mat. Does that make sense? Yeah. I didn't say it well, but we're all on different sides facing different ways. So now we're going to go to the left, which is my mistake. I didn't give us a direction. Turn your right toes in and your whole left leg out. And I'm mirroring. Okay, got it. I think I got it in there. Inhale those arms out wide and exhale. Weight in the left heel as you bend that left knee. Knee over second toe, knee over ankle, a little more weight in the heel. Is the right heel pushing down? Is that left pelvis going forward, right? These are some of the possibilities. There are many more. Right hand, right thigh, left arm reaches up. So going into reverse warrior first, lengthen out of that sideways. You got it. Maybe turning and looking up a little bit. Again, I don't like to say specifically where you're going to look. You're going to lengthen your neck and where your eyeballs go. Sweet, there you are. Anyone read John Kabat-Zinn's Wherever You Go, There You Are? It's a brilliant book if you haven't. And it's super sweet, short little chapters that bring mindfulness into your daily life. Lengthen, keep that left side body long. Now move into side angle, giving book recommendations while holding a pose. Might be my first time doing that. Go ahead and maybe that left arm reaches all the way, right arm reaches all the way over. Maybe it's the hand on the hip version. And then again, splitting at your waist, move in two different directions, right? One line, two directions. My right heel pushes down and my right fingertips reach away from that. Maybe looking up, playing with balance, maybe not. Taking care of my neck first and foremost. Now we're going to move towards triangle. First, reach your right fingertips up to the sky. Go ahead and start to straighten the left leg. Support it with a block if you need to. And then come up a little bit with your torso. When you do that, it allows the left hip to move into the socket and the right ribs to rotate back. Keep that, and maybe you creep down in with the left fingertips just a little further. And breathing. And again, I'm not a fan of when teachers are like, touch the floor. Who are you talking to? 90% of the population can't do that and keep the alignment of this pose. It drives me bonkers. Maybe turning and looking up. We have a hummingbird. Oop, just flew away, I think. And then go ahead and inhale into warrior two. Maybe it feels a little different than the first time, maybe not. And windmill down. You got one more chance at a push-up series if and you want it. So you exhale through your push-up. Of course, downward dog or child's pose if you don't, friends. Inhale into whatever upper back bend sounds divine to you today. Divine and delightful. And then go ahead and step on back. They're good words. Delightful is one of my favorite words. I try to find delight every single day. Some days I'm more successful than others. Take a breath. And on your exhale, how about a child's pose? In case you didn't hear her on Zoom, she just said delightful. So take your delightful child's pose. If you don't find it delightful, of course, find another pose where you can soften or leave the hips higher, etc. Hopefully you know a lot of the modifications at this point. And breathing. Letting go here of the arms. Letting go particularly of the low back and the muscles that come on the back of that pelvis and letting that just soften. Walk your hands back to your knees. Let's go ahead and come on up to hands and knees. We're going to try something here. I'm going to face this way for a second. Sorry about the buttocks. You're going to bring your knees into center. You're going to cross your right thigh behind your left. And then your feet might part slightly. Now, if you know you have super tight hips, you might grab a block before we get too far into this and just have it on standby, okay? And then it's a rocking action. When I rock back, I totally let my left knee lift off the earth. I'm not trying to keep it down at all. And I might stay pretty high and not rock nearly as deeply as I am, depending on the flexion of my knees, where my hips are at. And you might just keep doing that. You might start to sit your buttocks back between your heels, which are separated a little bit. And this is where maybe that block comes into play and you're up on a block, right? Maybe the buttocks can make it down and there you go, right? If you need a different pose, I would simply do Sukhasana maybe. And Mark, talk to me because I know that one's not available either. And then from there, let that left buttocks bone be heavy. Your right leg is lower, correct? I'm in the same position, yes. And then from there, you might, depending on your body, fold forward a little bit, keeping the buttocks heavy. Take a breath wherever you are. And then bring the body up. Now you can simply unwind your pretzel and come to hands and knees. If you want to use a little bit of belly, if your knees and hips are okay with it, rock forward. Uncross. So now we're going to put the right knee in the middle-ish of the mat. And then we're going to cross the left thigh behind it and separate our heels a little bit. And again, just start with that rocking motion. Right knee totally gets to lift when my buttocks move back. I'm not controlling that at all. And then one of these times, see about sitting all the way back between the heels, either on a block or the ground or whatever works for you. Yeah. That right buttocks is not going to want to go down as much. So you're going to try to weight the right hip down so it's as heavy as the left. You might stay right here. You might start to fold forward. You got some crazy eyes right now. Makes me a little nervous. Yeah, exactly. Well, when I see faces like that, I'm always like, are you sure you're okay in that pose? I do. Go ahead and come on up. And again, either unwind your pretzel and come on up or rock forward. But we're all going to end up sitting on our buttocks. So go ahead and just sit your butt behind you and swing the legs around front. Let's see. What part of the body? Ooh. I got it. You might not need it, but this is Miss Carolyn, you inspiring me with this one. And actually, Mark, I think this will hit the spot you were talking about. So we're going to lean over to the left, and we're going to just let the knees bend back over to the side. If you want to turn sideways on your mat, you're welcome to. I either stack my right ankle and my left arch, or I can separate my legs. Legs don't matter as long as you're comfortable. We've done it. It's just been a little bit since we've done this one. We're going to bring our right hand behind our head by the cranium, right? And then you're going to go ahead and you're just going to slowly bring that elbow down towards that left arm. And inhale up. Yeah, there it is right there. Exhale. I want to point out when you come down, let that elbow truly swing over to the arm. It's not that it has to touch. That's what brings the shoulder blade around the side of the body. Inhale up. It's that motion. And do that one more time. And then if it feels all right in your body, you're going to circle the elbow, a wide circle. I circle it away from my thigh and up towards the sky and back down. And I might do that maybe 2 times in one direction. If you find a spot that you're like, ooh, yeah, and you want to stay there, do it. And then at some point in time, reverse your direction and circle it the other way. Is that in there, Mr. Merck? Yeah. And Miss Carolyn, I think this will be hopefully feel awfully nice in that mid back we always talk about. And then when you're ready, you're going to go ahead and we're going to do the full gamut because we have time today. You're going to come down to the left forearm. This usually brings it a little lower down for me, right? And do the same thing. You'll swing that right elbow down towards that other elbow-ish and inhale up. So the one first one is usually for most folks what they tell me, and to go ahead and do that again and again, is a little bit more by the shoulder blades or the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. This one usually brings it down kind of beneath the shoulder blades into that region. And once you come down and in on this third one-ish, maybe that circling feels nice. Maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, why on earth would you do that? Switching directions if and when you're ready. This is one that I hook a lot of super big muscular dudes who aren't sure about yoga on. Put your hands on the ground and push the floor away. Let the legs come out in front of you and swing the legs to the other side. So I bring my right hand out to lean into it, get my legs into whatever position feels groovy. I bring my left hand behind where my head and my neck connect, and I let that elbow come down towards that other arm. And I literally swing it over and then inhale it up and you're in. Yeah. So I don't know, do that 3 or so times. And then you'll start that circling action if that floats your boat. Again, if you find an area where you could use a pause, a rest, and lengthening, please pause in it. When you're ready to go the other way, go the other way. And let's say we're finishing up here in this breath, and then we'll come down to the forearm when you're ready. And it's the same motions, but just notice if it changes the experience at all for you. And the answer might be no. And I'm not calling it out, but hopefully at this point in time, you kind of have the main motions figured out. I'm coming down for about my third try. So I'm going to start into my circles, do what feels right for you. Going the other way if and when that's right. And then you're going to come onto your back. So for some of you, you might be in a place where you can literally just put your hands down and roll onto your back. Some of you might need to roll up just to kind of switch the position of the body. But let's come right straight down onto our backs. The leaves are falling off the trees around onto us. Oh, pretty. And then from there, go ahead and bring the knees into the chest. Put your hands on your kneecaps. Let your arms circle your legs. If that doesn't make sense, what I mean by that is try to keep your leg muscles as soft as you can for this rendition today, and try to let the arms do the work. It can be big or little. It can start little and get big, or start big and get little. Go ahead and go the other way. Keep the right leg into the chest. Extend the left leg all the way out. And then from there, we're going to visit one more time that twisted triangle shape, right? So push the right heel up to the sky, tee the arms out, roll onto your left side body, and feel free to catch that right leg with your left hand, right? Right hip moves down to the left corner of the mat, maybe turning the head to the right, and just noticing if this feels different. We worked with this shape an awful lot today. Hopefully, maybe, maybe not, but maybe there's a little more freedom in some of like the IT band and the side waist, the front of the shoulder, the right shoulder it would be, right? So just notice what you notice. And then bend that knee, come on back through center. Feel free to lift your hips if you want to and reset them, recalibrate. Bring the left knee in, extend the right leg. Just give the knee a hug for a second, and then push the heel up, tee the arms out, roll onto right side body. Feel free to catch the left leg with the right hand and support the weight. Maybe turning the head to the left, that left hip moving towards the right corner of the mat. And again, just noticing if this has changed at all since the first time that we tried this shape. And let that hip roll back down. Put the feet on the ground. Again, when I do big twists like that, I like to lift my hips up and set them back down just to get them recalibrated. From there, we're going to go into bound angle for just a few breaths, right, before we go into Shavasana. So walk your feet, soles of your feet together to touch, and let your legs butterfly out. My friends who have blocks, I invite you to put blocks in, and you may stay here for the whole rest of class. That's what I would do if I had 2 blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can use fists right at the hip joints for a couple of breaths. Eyes closed, soft jaw, tongue, shoulders. Oh, forehead. I missed the forehead and the eyes. Soft chest, upper back, middle ribs, hips. Check into those inner groin muscles. I know that's vague, but there's a few different ones in there. Try to soften them as much as you can. You can stay just like this. We'll be here for about 2.5 more minutes. If you feel like you'd rather just slide the right heel forward and then the left heel and extend yourself into that Shavasana we started class with, it's all yours. Yeah? If you have tension anywhere, try to soften it. And starting to play with that practice of the return, right? Every time the mind wanders off, no big whoop. It gives us an opportunity to return, yeah? The sensations, the breath, the sounds around us. As Genjo Marianello calls it, the symphony of now. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Maybe wiggle fingers and toes or stretches, any of those spontaneous movements that your body would like before you come up. And we will come on up to an upright posture when you're ready. Some of us, we have the sun on our backs, maybe a breeze against our skin. And if you're not outside, maybe you're just noticing the mat right against your feet or the waistband against your waist, etc. So just notice the sensations is what I'm getting to against the skin. Notice the breath without trying to change it. What's the breath up to? Check in with that energetic and emotional body. Hopefully you don't feel more depleted than when you got here. Maybe on a lucky day, we have a little more energy after the practice. It's been difficult for me these days. I've just been pretty depleted all the way around, not from yoga, but from everything else. Bring those palms together in front of the chest. Take an inhale. Exhale, bow the head in. Taking a moment of gratitude. Thank you, Parks and Rec, for hosting us this whole summer. And I'll still be in Carnegie in a little bit, but otherwise, hopefully I'll see you all back here next summer. Namaste.